Okay, guys, thanks for the invitation. Fantastic event and a fantastic venue. I feel a little bit like a motivational speaker with this thing on. It feels a little weird. No, but really cool. Now I know where all the legal fees are going. But really good job. Really well done. Also special thanks to my good friend Till, who's one of the organizers and one of the co-founders of the Pirate Summit, another tech conference that I also co-founded. Do we have any pirates in the room? There you go. I wasn't so very good, very good. Usually I jump on the stage and go, and then, there are lots of people doing that, but there's so many people dressed in suits here, so I wasn't so sure. But pirates, you've come to the right place. You have a room filled with VCs, so there's a ship to enter, and there's a bounty to take. So this is the place. I'm just going to talk a little bit about a few things that are very close to my heart when it comes to the businesses that I founded and some of the experiences. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what I've done, give you a little teaser, what are a few things that I think are important in terms of finding the right team culture, startup culture, and obviously experience from fundraising, investors, from friends and family, business angels, media for equity, and to VC. But really, I think the best thing is I'm just going to give you a little overview of what I've done, and you just then ask me questions, and hopefully there'll be a little bit of a discussion. When I was invited to this, I thought that I could really lay open all the insider secrets of the VCs that I worked with, but realizing that some of them are in the room, probably there's stuff to be talked about later on. No, I'm just kidding. So who am I? Why am I here? My name is Stefan. I founded my first company in 2000 out of university. I worked in venture capital in London for 2 years, so I sort of gotten to know the other side a little bit. But I really wanted to get back to founding another company. And I did that with Justbook 1.5 years ago. So I was really in a situation, I had a profitable company, I wanted to do something new, and I was looking for a team to do that with, and I was looking for a product, an idea that not only there's a great market for potential acquirers, but also a product that we as a team can invest all of our effort and energy into, because I actually think that is extremely important as it is as the two gentlemen from Grant Thornton and Hengeler Müller have said, as important as it is to think about an exit, you also have to think about doing something for the next couple of years that you feel very passionate about, because you will only be very good at it, obviously, if it's something that you really love doing. So for us, we found travel as a super exciting industry. We saw that hotel bookings was something that is pretty boring. If you go on HRS, Booking.com, Expedia, and you want to book a hotel, it's a miserable experience. You've all done it, and there's so much innovation. Companies like Airbnb, obviously, innovating in this space, and we saw from the US Hotel Tonight who've innovated. And we thought this is something that we, being frequent travelers, we understand very well. So we started building a mobile-only, last-minute-only hotel booking service. But we've learned a lot since we've done that. So we raised a friends and family round, we've raised a business angel round, we've raised a venture capital round. We've built a great team, and then realized that that model that we pursued doesn't work in the same way as it did in the US. So we changed the model a little bit, expanded the business. We've recently gone to the web. We've launched a website. We've expanded the model. We've really been listening to customer feedback a lot and have acted on that. And now have something that we believe very, very much in, that will attack the big guys in the hotel booking space. So that has been quite 1.5 years. It's been quite a ride. And a few things that we learned, I guess, is coming back to team culture and investors. In terms of team, I couldn't. So the times I have been happy with my co-founders, it's basically almost been every day. So we as a team I think it was very, very important to have a technical guy in the management team from the first day, and not just somebody who's done a little bit of PHP and Ruby on Rails and MySQL on the side, but somebody who is, computational physics PhD, has worked on the Linux kernel and stuff like that. So real techie, a guy who can learn a programming language in a month or two. So that has been extremely helpful. Have somebody on board who's a very good salesperson. Have somebody on board who can do all the legal stuff with the Hengeler Müllers and so on. So somebody who's, very focused on processes and financing and keeping everything in order. And sort of I'm the weird visionary guy who has to represent the company and get everybody in the team to support the idea, because even if you have your founding team, there's an extended management team. There's your team, your people that will have to put in the extra hours, that will have to go with you through that roller coaster of ups and downs that sort of are so much a part of startup culture. So that's my job. I basically just sort of make everybody happy. And I guess another thing that I learned in that process was my co-founders haven't founded a startup before. Now, when you guys raised your hand, there was about half of you who've founded a company before. Who of you has had a corporate or consulting job before? So that's quite a lot. Has anybody founded straight out of school, out of university? Okay, the brave ones. No, I've been, I ditched one piece in my CV. I've actually been in consulting as well for 3 years. So I know a little bit the other side, but my co-founders have been, so they've had corporate jobs and they came into this sort of startup world. So they've worked for 8 years in consulting, in the travel industry and banking. And I think we learned a lot about what startup culture is all about. And it's interesting to see what are the good things from the corporate world that we can transfer into the startup world, and what are the good things from the startup world that we should keep. And obviously, there's a lot less structure in startups. One has to know that. If you have a corporate guy coming into your company, or you're co-founding with a corporate guy, you have to be, sort of make very sure that he understands what he's getting himself into. So my co-founder, Augie, who used to work in sort of with Germanwings in the aviation industry, he always called it salami tactic. So basically, every day another slice of the salami was sliced off. So he learned something new. That before when we started, he was presented with this wonderful salami. He said, "Oh, that's a nice big salami," but then came long hours and work on the weekend, and financing doesn't work, and product doesn't work, and everything crashes, and people leave you, and people betray you, and processes are shit, and you learn by mistake, not by sort of by an organization that has done what you're doing for many, many years. So that's important to know. So what we did is, and what I suggest everybody, every founding team should do, sort of sit together over a steak and red wine, and we did a little how to work with me session. So really, sort of take all the shields off and say, I'm this person from my sort of experience in studying or in working in professional life. I have learned, I work this way. So I need structure, I need this and that, and somebody else, needs motivation from every now and then. Somebody else sort of is manic on the one day and depressed on the next day. So if you know how people work, it makes it a lot easier to understand them. You could also do sort of MBTI tests or stuff like that. But it's really, really important, I think, in the founding team to understand, each other, because you're going to be in this for the whole ride, for all the ups and downs, and it's going to take. Usually, it takes longer, and it's more ups and downs than is planned in the business plan, which only goes up. So that's really important. Understand where people come from. Do the little how to work with me session, and then really understand what startup culture is about. Learning by mistakes, 80-20 rule, being very fast with everything, but also learning what you can take from other organizations. We've had sort of my corporate co-founders, they came in with sort of processes and reporting that were extremely important for us. So not everything in startups should be super duper creative every day. We need sort of structures. We need regular meetings. We need rituals. We need clear reporting. We need transparency for numbers and finance and everything. So I think that for us has been very helpful. Second point, so team culture. Third point already, investors. Kind of the same thing as I like the sort of idea of undressing for a love affair. Investors, kind of the same thing. I mean, you do want to know up front who you're getting in bed with. The way we did it, so we had kind of a friends and family business angel round with sort of good friends from experienced entrepreneurs from the startup scene. That has proved to be extremely helpful. So people who've done it before, people who have founded one or two companies before, have a great network to VCs, and people who know all these sort of special ups and downs that startups go through. I can only stress so much that these are the right people to have at the beginning. Don't take money from your family or friends. Take it from people who know what they're investing into, who understand how the industry works, and who can help you sort of also as a sounding board. People that you can go to when you don't understand what's happening anymore, and you can talk to them, and they say, "Yeah, I've been there when I sold my last company, or when I've been through many financing rounds." So, if you have a chance to do that, go to these events like these, and Heureka and Pirate Summit, obviously, and Tech Open Air, and TechCrunch Disrupt, and all these events, and try to network and get to know these people, and try to win some of these people who have founded companies before, who've been through fundraising, who've probably been through exiting, and get them as early supporters. It's much more valuable than the money they put in. So don't care so much about valuation. Make sure you get these supporters, and make sure you get people who really believe in you and your product, and not just investors, because at that stage that's super important. So for us, it's been really, really helpful. Our early investors introduced us to the next investors. It's been helpful to, have a sort of, be able to talk to the right people at the funds directly, and they've been very helpful with some of the decisions we took. So along the way, having somebody to talk to as a sounding board, extremely helpful. So the next thing we did, so we did friends and family, business angel. Then we did a small media for equity round. We had a TV spot last summer. Media for equity is a unique thing in Germany, it seems. So there's a lot of media for equity offerings. It's an interesting thing. I mean, you could talk about that for an hour. For us, it's been very helpful, but it's probably been a little bit too early. So you want to have a product that works. You want to have something that you can actually shoot media onto. So if you have any questions to that, I'm happy to share some information. And third point, VCs, obviously. So before I came off stage, I asked another VC actually. So if you, as an entrepreneur, what would you demand from VCs? How can VCs become better? And he said they should learn to say no. Now, I see some nodding heads in the room. Obviously, VCs are in the business of saying no all the time. VCs, I've worked as a VC myself. VCs invest, only a fraction of the cases that they see, so they are used to saying no, but they actually never do. So I think it's important to know that when you talk to VCs, and they always say, "That's an interesting business. We love it. Can you answer these few questions and come back?" And you keep coming back, and you're spending a lot of time. Urge them probably to also make a decision. Another thing that I learned, having worked with actually I think probably the greatest VCs in Europe, Index Ventures and DN Capital, who are extremely supportive on our board, and we count ourselves lucky to be investors in Justbook. Sort of the stuff they bring with them beyond cash. So they always say, we invest and we bring all the support and network and everything with us. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So really probe them on that and try to find out who will be the guy on your board that you're actually working with, and how sort of you work together with that person and not just with the fund. It's always the person that is sitting on your board that is, I think, more important. I've learned that the guys that we have on board have been extremely supportive in sort of, again, bringing in their network. But also they brought in structure. Sort of they brought in a different focus and a different view on the company than we as founders. And with the business angels and everything, it's always been a little cozy and warm and nice. And the VCs come in and they bring in structure, they bring in clear reporting lines, they bring in professionalism. And I think it has been extremely helpful for us. But one has to know that up front. I mean, these guys are in the business to make a return. They're not in the business of supporting you or giving away money and just building nice companies, but they're in the business of making a return, and they very rightfully do so. So I think it's important to sort of check out the people that are going to sit on your board when you talk to the VCs. Don't take the first offer. Let it lie. Think about it, and make a good decision. It's the same as sort of getting your team together, because you will be working with these people for a long time. So that's pretty much the points that I wanted to sort of lay out at you. There's one thing. So if you want to understand the VC industry, I can only recommend a really good book, which is Venture Deals by Brett Feld. So you must read that if you haven't dealt with VCs before. So that's all I wanted to say. Do you guys have any questions? There's a question. There's a question. You go. So the question was how many VCs you should talk to? Good question. Because fundraising can, first of all, I think every entrepreneur underestimates how much time fundraising consumes. So as a guideline, at least from my VC days, I would always say 9 months, because it's much longer than you would think. From my personal experience, it's been a little shorter than that. But I think so personally, we've talked to a lot of VCs. And I guess it's not, I mean, it does consume a lot of time. If you have the resource to do that, it makes sense to scan the market and to understand, the motives behind different funds and investment hypotheses and who are the people behind it. So if you have sort of the luxury to be able to do that, I think you should, so as many as possible. I mean, obviously there are some that you can see on paper and on the website that they're not the right ones for you. So you can sort of single them out. I wouldn't do it like, if you do a consulting interview practice, you talk to the firms first that you don't want to really work with. I'm not sure if that is the right thing to do with VC, so I wouldn't, just talk to practice. But I would take everything very serious. But I think rather more than being sort of left in a situation where you're running out of options. You had a question?
What would be the time frame that you see they're looking for ROI and what's the ROI? What's the time frames for the deals?
So the time frame for the VCs to get their money back?
Yeah.
I think you'll have to ask the VCs. I think most funds run for about 10 years. So I think it's another point actually. If you have a VC who wants to invest in you, ask how young the fund is. You don't want to get the last investment out of a fund that is running out. So usually I think funds run for 10 years, but the VCs will be able to answer that in more detail. So if you have a sort of a chance to come into a young fund, then there's less pressure to sell off the company towards the end of the lifetime of the fund. Usually that also can get extended a little bit, but ask the VCs.
It doesn't work yet. Make the match between the media that you got yourself and the needs you had, because you probably didn't sort of have the opportunity to have a lot of experience beforehand with media and what media is efficient or not.
That's true. So the question was, we went for media for equity, and the question was sort of, how did we choose what media to go for? Our hypothesis was, when we were a mobile-only business, that mobile can actually work very well with TV, because people sit in front of the TV with their smartphones and they can download apps directly on their smartphone. They don't have to go to the internet on a desktop computer. So we always had the hypothesis that TV would work well for mobile. And it actually did. So we went for TV. We worked with GMPVC. We worked with N24, the news channel. And it worked actually well. But again, I think our product wasn't ripe enough to fully, use the attention. So we actually, so we had that question if TV works. So we did a very small deal to test it. And now we know what works and doesn't, and we'll probably do something, again. But we also knew that we had to get the product finished first. So I think before you commit yourself to a huge TV package that you don't know how it will convert yet, if actually TV has the right audience for your product, don't do it, or try to make a very, very small deal, because it can actually be very costly if it doesn't work. Oh, that's...
More questions? You put a lot of emphasis on networks and kind of, in some way, grilling your VCs, if you will, about their networks and what they can actually bring to the table. My question is, are the networks that you're looking for, specifically in your case, but in general, more targeted at their extended financial networks, or networks that are relevant specifically to the market that your company is in? And where does that balance fall, particularly in the case of, say, picking a more niche sort of market? Is the greater value going to be in the VC that has the connectivity and the experience within the financial markets to bring that kind of financial power, or maybe more in the markets that's specific to that niche?
I think if you think about specific exit markets, for example, most VCs won't have. I mean, it will be a chance if one of the partners has worked in the travel industry before or not. So what I found, they can usually get they usually have inroads to a lot of potential acquirers through their network. So I wouldn't be so focused on a particular industry. What I found, and probably that's more true because we're still a very early stage company. We're not so much thinking about exit, but more about building the company. So what I found really, really helpful is not so much on the financing side, but also on the operations side. So being able to ask other portfolios, CTOs, about their experience with particular suppliers or software, access to experts that we can talk to, people who've built similar companies and failed. We can ask them, why they failed. So it's a very personal opinion, I suppose. I think I benefited more from access to experience than access to capital through the VCs. And VCs are very different there. So some, like probably the more professional VCs bring a very valuable network because they are, brand name VCs, and they have, a huge portfolio in all stages of financing. And others are more early stage, and they'll probably bring in a lot of operations experience in sort of building a CRM. So one of our investors is Power Ventures, Berlin-based small early stage fund. And these guys are extremely helpful in sort of, putting us on focus in terms of building a CRM, business intelligence, the right online marketing tools, so really, really operation stuff. And these are the guys that can network you with other Berlin entrepreneurs and people we can talk to. So that I guess you have to look, what are the pieces of the puzzle that are missing in your company? For us, it's been online experience. So we then found a lot of resources through our investors. Cool. Thank you. Enjoy the day.